Raven. I have a very special treat for all the people who watch my builds. This was intense grind for me the last 3 days, and basically I was grinding for the Scathing Mage jewelry set because I was going through my builds and I was rolling with a 5-5 switch between Scathing Mage and Julianos, which was kind of working out really well. Unfortunately, though, I wasn't able to procure the destruction staff of the Scathing Mage. So for me, it was kind of hit and miss about, okay, how do I go ahead and push out even more DPS? And actually what I actually formulated, and we're going to go ahead and get into this. First off, I'm going to throw up my character sheet here. With this build, the max Magicika is 43,284. Max health is almost 20k, slightly under. And spell damage from initial without any builders or buffs or procs is sitting at 2,944. Now, recovery is 894 for Magicika. This is a Magicika build. And the best thing about this build, guys, it can work across the board, whatever Magicika you are. Now, keep in mind, you would adjust a few things depending on each class due to the passives, but DPS, and you want to push out a shitload of DPS, and you want endgame results. This build is completely insane. I call it the nuclear devastation build, and because when it goes off, it's devastating. There's like nothing left. So this build to me is very much well worth it. Now, as you can see, my spell crit is also at 58.4. Now, this is the one thing I'm going to show you guys. What we actually opted to do. Now, traditionally, a lot of people have been running either Twice Born or Julianas with Magicika and Torok's Pack and the Willpower set, which I ran for a long time and got nothing but really great results. But since they, with the one Tamriel update, and they actually converted a lot of the clothing pieces now with weapons and jewelry, we're able to go ahead above and beyond our own expectations here. So here we got 5 pieces of Julianos, the 2 Magicika pieces, and then 5 of the Scathing Mage. Now, the first thing I want to tell you, guys, to pull this off, you're going to need the Scathing Mage jewelry set. It, without a doubt, if you want to do this, because Julianos you can't craft Julianos in jewelry. Now, in future updates, I hope they change that and they make craftable sets that you can craft jewelry, but as of now, you can't. So you need the Scathing Mage, excuse me, jewelry set to pull this off. We're going to replace the Willpower. We're going to go with the Scathing Mage. Why are we going to go with the Scathing Mage? Simple. The proc is going to give us 504 spell damage for 6 seconds. Now, with the rotation that we're running, we're actually using a lot of dots in our rotation. Why? Because as we're going through our instant abilities, the durated effects will actually still proc Scathing Mage consistently. So it'll always be procking. There's no question about it. It's just going to keep firing on and off. There's not even a, it's a 20% chance, but as you're layering your dot effects, it's going to keep procking more consistently. Julianos, very simple. Once again, it's a crit, so we're going to put up our crit up there as high as we can go. But the 299 spell damage stacks with the fact. This makes this tremendous. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, can you go with the Twice Born Star with this? You can, but unfortunately, you're going to have to acquire the Scathing Mage weapons. That's the staff and the swords, and you're only going to be able to get those in Sharpen. With this build, we're stacking the spell power on the sword side, so we're going to go with the 2 Nirnholm. On the staff side, we actually did go with the Sharpen. The reason being, we're just going to lay down the AoE effects and the dot effects. That'll go ahead and give us the penetration from those abilities. And when we switch over to the sword side, we're actually maximizing our spell damage. Now, keep in mind, I also use other effects that will give me spell pen. Okay, now Magicika, now as you guys can see, this is 516 when this procs. You can control Magicika's proc effect. Mulakina, when you hit it with 516 with 299, and then on the Scathing Mage end and get 504. This is going to give you more spell damage in the game than any combination combined. Period. And to make sure that we're going to go ahead and maximize the spell damage, of course we're running the Apprentice. Like I said, any class can pull off this if you're on Magicika DPS. It's great. It's just so devastating. It is so awesome. Like, I couldn't contain myself when I got my last ring. Speaking of jewelry, we went ahead and obviously queued it up to 174 spell damage. Once again, we're going to go ahead and stack that spell damage. My rotation, and nice thing about this too, you're going to want to go with the crafted set or the Mulakina heavy and medium. My shoulders were medium, but I still have a light head of Mulakina, so I crafted my belt and Juliana's heavy to compensate. So it gives me my Undaunted bonus, and I'm still getting the 6% increase. Okay, so as far as my layout goes here, guys, it hasn't changed much. Really nothing at all. Structured entropy, funnel health, Reaper's Mark, and once again, this is kind of important because that's going to give us our penetration, and of course our impale for our finisher. Since I am a Dunmer, I went with the Shooting Star because I get the bonus to fire damage. On the back bar, we went with the Inferno Staff. Usually I like to run a lot of lightning, but with this, once again, I'm a Dunmer. I want to go ahead and maximize my fire potential. We use Sap Essence as a builder. Keep in mind that will not stack with Structured Entropy, but it also gives a heal effect to the party members. Also, Unstable Wall of Fire. This is our durated effect. It lasts for 6 seconds. This will continuously help proc Scathing Mage. Refreshing Path, same thing, it's a durated effect, and this once again will also give us a self-heal. And Lotus Fan. Lotus Fan is going to be our gap closer. We can get in within tight vicinities, and it also has a dot effect as well, which will also help with Scathing Mage. Now here's the thing, you can go with the Destruction Staff Mastery if you want. It's great, it works. I have Eye of the Storm, I've tried them all, they're really good. I just don't like the ultimate's cost. So Soul Tither works out better for this build because what I can do is lay down the dot effect and also give a synergy to my party, which also gives them a self-heal. So I opted for the Soul Tither. Okay, so yeah, also staff side. When you're on the staff side, you're going to notice that you only have 4 of the Julianas. Okay, so on staff side you're going to be slightly weaker, so I want you to keep that in mind, but you're still going to have the 5 Scathing Mage and the Mulakina. Now when we go to single target, which is most boss fights or other encounters, I'm going to switch that back. Now you're going to go ahead and see that we are at the 5 Julianas. We still have the Kina, and we still have the Scathing Mage effects. Okay, simple, effective, and I'm hoping to get, I'm going to go queue a random here, and I want to show you guys what this build can do. Now, if you are a Sorcerer, Templar, or a DK, you can still kind of run a similar rotation and still be a very effective using your class-based abilities, so you can play with it. But as far as the gear layout and the build goes, it's solid. Now once again, I didn't go all divines. I don't do that. I need that max Magicika because that's going to give me up almost 1,000 extra versus the divine. So I always go infused with the legs, the chest, and of course the head. Those are the big pieces. I'm going to get a lot more out of it with the max Magicka. When it comes to my smaller pieces, like my waist, my hands, and my feet, I went max health just so I can have survivability, especially in those really hard vets. You can push that down a little bit if you feel comfortable, but I usually try to stay around 20k versus 16, 17k. But that's me personally. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're just going to do a random. I just kind of want to get you guys familiar with what's going on here. Oh, I'm going to leave the queue. I almost made that mistake because I'm not in my heal roll. I don't know if I'll get a queue fast enough, but we can go kill some stuff until we get a queue time. But yeah, guys, this is retarded. Like when I came up with this, now originally, now you can go a 5-5. So let's say you don't have, and you can, if you don't want to use Mulakina, you can opt for any monster set you want. That's what's really great about this build. So let's say you don't want to go Kina and you want to use Valkynscorian, or you want to go ahead and use any of the new ones. You can do that. I am not talking to those people. So here we go. I'm going to add my food, just make sure it doesn't drop. Okay, as soon as the tank loads in and everything's up, we should be good to go. Hopefully. Now, if I do, if this drops, I'm sorry, guys, ahead of time. My internet has been doing some funny things. Time Warner and PlayStation haven't been really working as reliable as it typically does. Where is our tank? That says he's in here. Does it? No, there's our tank. He might have been in combat. Okay. Well, I don't know what the heck this dude's doing, but... Okay. I don't know what's going on, guys. Alright. Hopefully they just video. This is normal. Come on. Now, when I'm doing trash mobs, I'll go ahead and I'll stay on staff side for the most part. When I'm actually doing the boss encounters, I'll switch out. I'll lay down the dot effects to proc the Scathing Mage and then run up the Kina. So that's how I pretty much do it. Trash mobs, I mean, you can proc Kina, but it's almost kind of pointless because, I mean, they're just trash mobs. Now keep in mind, I haven't tried to proc anything as of yet. I'm using my sword effects or anything yet. I do have the proc effect for the increased spell damage on my weapons as well. So let me go ahead and we'll clear out this trash. Don't don't know why that didn't show. Alright. I don't even know if this is a tank. I honestly don't care. Alright. I hate when that happens. Alright. Now, on all the procs, I'm pushing about almost 5,200 spell damage. So if anybody's wanting to know what everything's procking at, that's about what I'm getting on this. Now, with the sorcerer, you're actually going to get more spell damage, so keep that in mind. Not to say that it's actually better, because Nightblades actually get more Magicka, so it kind of pans out. Unfortunately, I probably still wouldn't put this as much as on the Magicka DK, because it doesn't have a lot of passives that benefit either Magicka or spell damage. But consequently, though, it has a lot more dot effects, so you could actually amp this up and still get really killer results out of the whole thing. And I'll go over the champion points after this. Okay, once that's up, throw on my mark. Of course I'm stunned. Why do I have the aggro? This is why I like tanks. Such a pain in my ass. Okay. Here we go.
I need aid.
Oh, this will be fun. Since there's no tank. $47. Nice. So we got a 47k meteor. Now keep in mind that's not without a Warhorn or Spell Power Cure. With the Warhorn and Spell Power Cure, I should hit about 52 with the meteor. Roughly around that, about that. All right. You get him? All right. And once again, I'm just using the Lotus fan pretty much just add the dot effect. It's kind of important to keep your rotation going as best as possible. Getting close to the burn phase. Okay, now I can start the impales. If I'm not, come on. My proc wore off on that. 33 without the other proc. That's not too bad. I'm hitting about 39 with the extra proc. All right. Once again, when you're proccing Molokina, you really have to be careful there. You don't want to keep running low throughout all your dungeon fights. Dang it, I wanted to drop the meteor on it. Now, with the Elegance set, if you were contemplating, like, Elegance set, when I do a heavy attack with that combination, I actually can get a 30,000 crit on a heavy attack. But once again, I make sure everything's spec'd for that. So it does come in handy, like I said, if you're doing a lot of heavy weaves. But if you're using a lot of base abilities and stuff, Elegance set is not typically my favorite. So... miss one? Here we go. Now, consequently, if you do vets, it'll be a little rougher, but... Alright. Alright. So let's go over the champion points real quick here on this build. Okay. So obviously we're Magicika DPS, so this is going to be very important. I put it 78 into the Elemental Expert. We go 21%. Obviously we do not push up to 25% because that's going to put 100. The diminishing returns is not worth it considering all the other points allocated. Since this is a heavy and crit build with the Julianos and the Scathing Mage, we have a lot of crit, so we want to go ahead and push up our Elfborn. This maximizes our crit damage, but we don't want to go ahead and put too much in Elfborn because what ends up happening, you'll actually lose crit damage because your base damage helps with the crit. Spell erosion 33, we want it 1921. The reason being I opt for Nirnholm, that with my Reaper's Mark and my light armor, this gives me a significant amount of penetration for my build. And it's, I was about to say, whatever. I'm being removed from group. I'll finish this as soon as I'm exited. But yeah, if you guys have any questions or comments, post below. I love this build. I mean, I was hitting with my funnel around, no matter what setup I was going, I think the maximum I was getting is about 20. If I get everything procced, I'm almost hitting 20. I'm hitting 22.1 or something like that now when it crits. So the effect of the setup is unbelievable. I mean, it's phenomenal. Now, if you don't want to use a proc effect, but you still want to use Scathing Mage, this will also work with a 5/5 switch. So you can still retain the willpower and run a 5/5 switch with the Julianas. Keep in mind, Twiceborn Star cannot pull off a 5/5 switch. You still get pretty good numbers, and you get a lot more retainability in your resources. So those are options for you, because the 5/5 switch with this setup works excellent. I was still getting really excellent numbers, especially if you don't have a monster set acquired that you're really wanting and you're trying to acquire it. You can do that. Getting a group for Imperial Prison can be rough, but since they've downgraded, made it a lot easier for the normal, I would suggest that you run normal on Imperial Prison to acquire the pieces that you're looking for. But if you were hoping to get the purple jewelry, right here, you're going to have to do the vet because it'll only drop blue. But if you want the purple, you know, you're going to have to do the vet version. So, yeah, once again, going back into the champion points. So, yeah, as I was saying, I got 33 points into Spell Erosion. Once again, that helps me with my penetration. When we take a look, I got 5%, 10 points in the Staff Expert. This helps me with my Weave DPS. I could actually move that over if I wanted to, but I do Weave from time to time. And given this, that a considering factor. I put in 5% into precise strikes as too. Now, since we are using dots to proc Scathing Mage between our rotation, we go ahead and put 10 into thermometers just for 5. Keep in mind that we are using dots, but this isn't a dot build. It's a burst.
This build is beautiful.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I really do. This is a burst build, so keep in mind that we are not typically going to be focusing on dots. Now, if it was a Dragon Knight, you'd want to put ahead and put more into thermometers because they got heavier end dots. But since we are using dots, we want to scale that up a little bit. Once again, my PvP 11 to Ironclad. I pretty much don't keep that. I don't change that much. Hardy, 16.5. Since I am a vampire, we put 19.5. But since I'm a Dunmer, that allegates some of that fire damage, so I don't have to max it out. If you are any other race, this is the only time I would probably suggest you put 100 points in to negate the effect. 10 into quick recovery. That just helps me with my heals, and especially since I do self heals, that helps me retain with the funnel, the refreshing path, and everything else. The Magician, 9.4, because we want to reduce the cost, especially when we proc Kina. And we do some weaving, as you saw, but not a lot, so we want to focus pretty much more on the Arcanist. We put 23. Once again, I never put 100. Put a 2 in the Tenacity. Since I'm a vampire, I want to increase my health recovery to try to negate that as best as possible, and I put 1 into Tumbling. But yeah, guys, I'll be honest with you, I have a lot of different setups. I have a lot of different builds. I'm hoping to post some more builds in the future, but as far as end game goes, nothing's touching this. I'll be honest with you. I'm going to be straight up. Nothing is comparing to the numbers by any other means. You know, and you can, like I said, you can roll Twiceborn Star with this setup, with the Scathing Mage and the Kina. The problem of it is you're going to have to go ahead and acquire the weapons in Scathing Mage and offset everything else in the Twiceborn, because when you do a switch, you'll drop the other Mundus. To me, that's the problem. You know, to get that, you'll have to get it in Sharpen. I don't like that. I'm a Magicka build. I use Penetration. Now, if you do, let's say you do use Twiceborn Star. Let's hypothetically say you're going to go with the Twiceborn. Now, it doesn't matter if you use Kina. Like I said, you can switch out at this build, you can switch out any monster set you want. But if you use Twiceborn Star with this, you are going to actually want to drop Erosion down and stack more into your elemental expert. The reason being because you'll use Sharpen for your penetration. If you use Sharpen as your penetration, you want to boost up the damage in your expert. So keep that in mind, guys. If you're going to run Twiceborn Star, you'll get the extra Mundus. This is true, but it's going to be harder to acquire those weapons. I have been busting my butt try to get the weapons to run the 5/5. Like I said, I'm still missing the Destruction Staff, but when I was actually farming for this, I actually got a sharpened bow, but I deconned it, and I got so far where is it? I have a lot of stuff. There's my Twiceborn Star. I have a lot of